On Monday, June 5th, school directors from the Bennington-Rutland Supervisory Union ratified a 2-year contract with their teaching staff. The new contract calls for a 2.8% salary increase in the first year and a 3% increase in the second. The contract takes effect on July 1st of this year. It covers school teachers in Danby, Dorset, Mount Tabor, Paulet, Rupert, Manchester, Sunderland, Winhall, and the 4 towns of the Mountain Towns Red District: Weston, Landgrove, Londonderry, and Peru.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The pay scale so that it's more front-loaded, so that the opening salaries are higher, and so that we can appeal to people coming from other professions, that teaching is a legitimate profession that pays reasonably well and with good benefits, or compete with other school districts, be in the same ballpark.
Local school boards will be ratifying the contract as they hold their meetings over the next couple of weeks, with all of them expected to be ratified by June 21st. Coincidentally, that's the same date the state legislature will reconvene in Montpelier for a special 2-day veto session. As lawmakers prepare to return to Montpelier later this month to finalize the state budget, they will also be tasked with finding a resolution of an issue that popped up midway through the legislative session around public school teachers' health insurance plans. Locally, the health insurance issue has been resolved in a slightly different fashion than the governor had sought, using a dollar figure rather than a percentage, said David Chandler, the chairman of the BRSU Bargaining Council, which negotiated the agreement covering local public schools with the teachers' union.
The health care program is set up so that there's a dollar amount for whichever level of premium they select. So they can select the platinum plan, which is very similar to what they've had in the past, or they can switch to the gold or silver CDHP, which is a health savings account eligible program, an HSA eligible program. So our hope was to set the whole healthcare based on dollars rather than percentage, and there would be enough money to pay for the gold CDHP HSA eligible program. And there is. And in fact, there's money left over that will also be deposited into each teacher's HSA account. So they're contributing their own portion, and they're getting a portion from us. So more of the money, more of the dollars that's being spent on healthcare goes into the teachers' pockets rather than to administrators and healthcare administrators. And at the same time, we're saving money on the board side. So it's a win-win, and that was what we were interested in. We don't know how much real savings there will be if everybody enacted the healthcare program the way the governor wanted, with the 80-20 percentage breakdown and all that. We really don't, because I think there's a lot of other factors that come to play that people aren't aware of. So what we focused on is what we thought were the benefits of the new healthcare format that the Affordable Care Act has promoted. And so we focused on spending dollars instead of percentages. We focused on trying to steer people towards health savings accounts so that they would have money in those accounts that they could spend for out-of-pocket expenses. We tried to figure out ways to smooth the transition so that the early years or early months when there's no money in the health savings account. That's the danger, is that you switch over to this new account and you've got this new approach and you've got this savings account that's supposed to have money in it, but the money can't be put in up front. It has to be put in periodically. That's mandated by the government. So there's the first few months, or maybe even 6 months, when it takes a while before the account's big enough to cover out-of-pocket expenses. Once it's established, out-of-pocket expenses are pretty much covered for everybody all the time. So it's a very powerful win-win kind of program.
The governor had hoped to use an estimated $75 million in anticipated savings from a changeover in the way health insurance is structured. Due to a provision in the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare as it's often referred to, a tax on certain high-end insurance policies, often called Cadillac plans, takes effect this year. And in anticipation of that, a new plan was developed to avoid that tax. The governor, who recently paid a visit to Dorset, explained what he hoped to do with about 1/3 of the estimated $75 million in savings, while using the rest to pay for the teachers' health insurance benefits.
What we'd like to see happen is take 50 million of that, of the 75 million, to make sure the teachers are whole and employees are whole, so that they don't have any, they're not burdened any further than they are right now. So this would make the teachers whole, reinvesting the 50 million, but then you'd have 25 or $26 million left at that point. And I thought what we should be doing is taking that back. I'd said, well, why don't we take that back and either give some to taxpayers, make investments in early childhood care and learning, which I think is important, make some investments in higher ed, maybe make some investments in teacher retirement at the same time, spread the money out a little bit, and everyone benefits in some way.
Earlier this week, Governor Phil Scott formally vetoed the budget bill passed by the legislature and a companion bill that sets property tax rates, which wasn't written to include the anticipated savings on the teachers' health insurance, among other issues. Regardless of the outcome in Montpelier, their action won't impact the settlement the BRSU reached with their teachers, School Superintendent Jacqueline Wilson said earlier this week.
We've moved a system of hundreds of people towards this approach. And we haven't even really taken a look yet. When we were looking at our original savings for the teachers, that was just for the teachers. So, it'll take us some time to get the finances done and see what is that impact across the board. And again, in year one, it will be less than, we'll do the same thing for everyone, helping build up that HSA account in year one. But we would anticipate, in later years that will be, we'll have more savings. And it also helps us if we move, if the governor should move to this place where they say we do want an 80-20%, we'll get a sense of what is that dollar amount. And we'll feel better in a couple of years from now when that happens, because folks will have established HSAs to help protect themselves. So if we should be compelled to move to a higher, that give less to the teachers for their health care, and they'll have to start making more in premium contributions, at least they'll have some money. Most folks, unless something dramatic has happened, they're going to have some money in that health savings account to help them navigate that. So I think we're positioning ourselves to bring some stability, and it also helps tremendously with budgeting, because in the past we're kind of waiting, what is that increase going to be to health care, and now we'll have some more evenness.
The health insurance component of the new contract takes effect on January 1st, 2018. The teachers union has already ratified the deal. For the GNet TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.